Hello everyone and welcome back to the Clydeside Containers podcast. This is where we find out all the amazing information about Glasgow's premier eatery and live events venue coming very soon to Glasgow's Clydeside. This is a bit different today, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I have to say.
I'm used to being over there.
You're used to being over there. Dario's used to being over there. We've got to meet the vendors.
Yeah.
So much over the last, it's about 2 months, we've sprinkled them in.
It's been 5 weeks of that, basically.
Yeah.
Constant, you know.
And
But it's been good. I mean, the vendors have been great. I was surprised in how they were actually reacting on some of these things because it was quite nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
there was a lot of buzz.
There was a lot of pressure on us to make the right decisions.
yeah, because there was a lot of applicants. That's why. You know.
So I have sat here for like the last 5-6 weeks, and I've introduced it as Glasgow's premier and live events venue.
Yeah, better be.
How do we describe? How do you think that's a good description of what's coming this way?
Well, I mean, the thing is it's definitely the first of its kind for us. So it will be a premier venue, and especially Glasgow because there isn't any in Scotland for these shipping container sites. They're up and down the UK.
No.
So
They're across Europe as well. Like,
yeah,
and when I've mentioned to people that this type of inside-outside kind of venue, people get really excited because, I've seen this in Prague or I've seen it in such and such, but bringing it to Glasgow is going to be something very, very different.
There's definitely been a lot of folk that have referenced a lot, like, you know, Stacks and Box Park have been the two main ones up in the UK, so they know what the vibe is, which is great because it means that we don't have to like really worry about the concept being not accepted by people. You know, it's going to be well, I mean, it's the side of the Clyde for us in Glasgow. That's the main thing. And we've not had anything on the side of the Clyde for 35 years.
No, definitely not.
Panama Jacks and or the Circa was a venue.
That's
Do you know what I mean?
my time.
There's quite a lot of folk that won't even know what that is. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
me. I was
Giving
I wasn't
away my
around.
age.
I wasn't around.
Didn't we used to have the ferry? Did we used to have the ferry down by
We
there?
still do.
We had the tuxedo,
we?
we had the Tuxedo Princess, which is down in Newcastle now.
Oh, right.
Remember the big ship, like the actual.
I remember the one that Steven Seagal played on. That's the only one I can remember.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal played a gig on a ferry down by the. Maybe you know that way you've just said a sentence and you went, "Was that a dream?" Did that actually happen?
I'd never heard.
No, 100%. But taking it right back to the beginning, because like you say, everyone's got to be the first to do something.
Yeah.
You're the first to bring something like this to Glasgow. How does that all come about?
Yeah, so I mean that's a long story, but I'll cut it down. The guys that I'm in partnerships with this one had taken this site on 4 years ago. They took it before COVID.
Right
before COVID.
Right.
And their plan was one of the partners does the Winterfest stuff that you've seen at George Square and Scenic Square. So he'd went to them, look, let's get a site somewhere and let's try and get something like this going. So they took it on before COVID, and then COVID hit, and they didn't get any rent relief. So they've been paying for it the whole way through for like nearly 4 years.
Right.
It's no cheap. It's an expensive site. So I had one of the other business partners, a structural engineer, and I was getting stuff done in my house, and just he came to my house and we were talking. He's like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Well, I've got bars and restaurants and stuff," and he's like, "I've got this pitch. Do you fancy coming and trying this pitch and maybe renting a bit off me?" And I was like, "I'll have a look." And then we went in and had a look at it. So I was like, well, that's a great site for one of these shipping container things, for definite. They already had that concept. It wasn't like I'd completely come up with this idea myself. They had the 3D renders done for one pitch on the site, and they kind of just scattered some of them round on the other one. So I was like, right, well, we'll build on that. So I took that, done all the graphics, done the floor plans, all the 3Ds and all that stuff, and went, listen, I'm going to rent this. This is what I'm going to do. And he was like, "You're not doing that on your own, man. You're coming on with us." You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I basically get drafted in. So I'm like, "Oh, great." He's like, "So we'll split you. We'll give you a shareholdings in the whole thing. We've got ownership of the ground coming and all that." And I'm like, "Right, great." And then I very quickly realised I was signing up to a debt. Do you know what I mean? But they've been sound with that. They were like, "Look, Dario, anything before that's got nothing to do with you. Everything going forward, it's all of us." You know. So that was how it started with that, and then we just kept building on that. It was only like September or October, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we worked flat out on it for a couple of weeks.
Non-stop, man.
Get this plan.
This all came about like quite fast.
Really rapid. I mean, because these guys, I mean, they were trying to get me to open up one pitch in the site in November, and this was September, and I was like, there's nothing here. Do you know what I mean? They're like, well, there's a shipping container there that's got equipment inside it, and I'm like, but It's 40 bits, man. You know what I mean? Like they were just, I totally understand because they were under financial pressures, man. They were basically trying to get. It's been a money pit for these guys, and,
Right.
and they were all. When I met with them and I met with the rest of the partners, because it's obviously my business partner, I'm not mentioning his name because he doesn't like people knowing. But the guy who was coming to my house, when he introduced me to the rest of the partners, they were all like, "Look, we're no operators. We don't operate these kind of
Right.
things. Apart from one that does the Winterfest stuff, but he does it's a month and then that's it gone.
Yeah.
But as a 365 day a year thing, they don't do that. And obviously, being structural engineers, one's a property guy. They do develop stuff, but they'll basically get, say, a property and get planning permission done and then sell it.
Right.
They won't actually they won't do the construction part of
Okay.
it. So it was different for them, and because we had the expertise in this, and I'd built quite a few places in the past, it was that's how we were able to go so quickly.
Right. So, in terms of like, because the concept itself with all the different kind of containers serving very different foods and what have you, you started that effectively from scratch. Do you guys have the concept in terms of like, I want it to be places that have got a bit of a buzz about them. We want pizza. We want such and such. We want, or because I've been to some of these places and it's been like it's just been all drinks.
Yeah.
Just been all drinks. So
One of the main things for us that became apparent quickly when we started meeting vendors was that not so much about the social media buzz that they had now, but it was the social media buzz we could create about them.
Right,
And it very much became that it needed to be about someone's story rather than, a franchise that was just someone that
just for
bought
the sake
this idea.
of it,
Yeah. It needed to be, and we've heard some amazing stories that you pulled out of people like Pizza Cult, him coming from a sales job and just learning how to make pizza over lockdown and now being one of the the most talked about pizza joints in Glasgow.
It's quite cool how everyone's been about kind of like change. Like everyone, like we've had a guy that was a salesman. There was obviously Andrew from Cafe XO. Like everyone seems to be about changing and it's about being a part of something. It's like a real without everyone having been in the same place at the same time. It's like there's actually quite a community spirit that they don't even realise they've got.
I think that probably comes part and parcel with what they do anyway, because when they're doing these kind of markets and stuff, like obviously Alan was talking about the crumbleologist. They're used to being in that kind of like more than one person site.
Yeah.
So they obviously have an element of that. But the difference for this one is that this isn't a pop-up where they just come in and they last for a weekend.
Yeah.
Like obviously the Loch Lomond one he's talking about, you go in there, you do that tent for 2 days and then you're done. Whereas with this one, it's a business for them now. It's an actual restaurant for them. So that's emphasised that community vibe, I think, between them all,
And where it is in the town is
you couldn't get a better site,
it's
man.
so perfectly placed.
Yeah.
Because like even when we went down and have a look at the site a wee while ago, about a month or so ago, then you go like, oh my god, like the Archies is stone throw, the city centre, Four Corners.
Yeah.
It's just on the corner.
Hopefully we'll be ruining there.
Yeah. We're coming for you, Pizza
Aye,
Hut.
that's it,
Argyle Street, and you know that there are going to be people that are going through the town for any day of the week. Like you've got the offices and what have you. There's going to be people coming in the town on a Saturday and going, "Do you know where we've got to go?"
Aye.
Like there's going to be a real thing about that. But so in terms of like even just getting the containers, getting the actual structure and all that together, that looks like. I keep seeing images and I keep seeing plans and all this, and this is way above my pay grade, as they would say. Like, where's that first phone call? Where's that first email come from?
It was. We originally were talking to somebody in the UK for it, and obviously, there's obviously, because these sites have been done up and down the UK already, there is people here that can do them, but they are charging crazy amounts of money for that work to get done. And the price for the containers, don't get me wrong, some of them were actually pretty decent for the container prices, but when I'd come up with it, when I'd finalised the kind of terrace sections and I'd drawn the ground floor and the balcony plans, we started speaking to a few folk around here, and one of them, who was a lovely guy, he had done loads of these things. He actually loved it so much, right? So we were on the phone to him doing a live chat, right? And the guy was like, so first and foremost, have you got the lease for this? I was like, yeah, the lease is in place and we're purchasing the land. Right, okay. Just because sometimes these things, I've worked in these, some are great and some are not. He says, so just, I need to get an idea of the concept. How are you working this? And I talked him through the whole thing and he went, right, okay, well, my next thing was I was going to see if I could undercut you and take this off you. He says, because this is going to be one of the best sites.
Oh,
He loved it. He's like, in the plans, everything you've spoke to me about, there's not one thing I can fault on this. He says, it's absolutely great. He says, and I would be taking this underneath your feet if I could. So that's straight away.
That's kind of, I mean, there's a phrase we use in Scotland, they just use the language, it's kind of cunty, but
at least he was honest about it.
At least he was honest about it.
Yeah. But that's it. So he said that, and that was at the point, that me and him are standing. I can feel it happening to me again, because that was the first point we'd really released what we were doing to someone external. It was always just me and him sitting, going through plans, going through concepts, not told anyone. And the first person we speak to was like, "This is massive for you guys." Do you know what I mean? And that much so that he would want to steal it. So that was a great start on that. And then once we'd done that, we started looking at. We had a budget of how much we thought. I had an idea in my head how much I thought it was going to cost total. And he was, I told him what the budget was, and he was like, "No, you're going to be north of that for me to do it." He says, but then he started trying to kind of work out ways for us to make it cheaper. Like we buy the containers off him and we fabricate them here, right? And I'm like, well, that meant even more work for me, because I was designing the container, but then I'm going to need to sit with guys fabricating them here instead of just sending them the plans and going, make this. So obviously we started looking about, and then we went to the source of where these things are made, which is obviously not in this country. which
is a very Dario way of doing things.
Yeah. I love that, because the fact is that we're repurposing old containers,
right?
And there is loads of them over in China, and they also have all the steel. Everything comes from there. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, we need to pull this into line if we're going to make this happen. Then we need to pull this into line financially. So I went on to the usual site that I look at these things at, and there was thousands of companies over there that were manufacturing and changing these things. So I just went out to tender, the usual thing, and went to 3 of them. And I was basically doing the same conversation with 3 of them, but that's just at 4 a.m. You know what I mean, for me, because I'm waking up at 4 a.m. to be in their time frames. So I've got 3 of them, and I'm sending. Honestly, God, I'm sending them, and I'm doing it on my phone. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sending them all these plans, 3 of them, and it was so much I was losing track of who I was talking to and what I'd said. And then it worked out. 2 of them wanted to build these containers and put them inside a shipping container, so they were getting smaller.
Right.
And I was like,
well, like Russian dolls,
just
sticking them in.
And I was like, can you not just ship these? They're shipping containers. Oh no, because we're going to we need to put them inside a container, or we need to certify them. I says, well, certify them. I said, it's a shipping container. And one of them was like, no, we don't do that. Because obviously I'm getting them made at special sizes. Like a shipping container's 10, 20 or 40 feet.
Yeah.
But I need 24 feet and 16 feet, and so. And I was like, how do you deliver these? Went, well, if you've got a 16-foot container, we'll just build another extension to make it 20 foot. So they'll put another 4-foot frame, which means another full container can sit on top of it, but we'll have an open space under it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
so they basically just extend the frame to a 20-foot size. And I was like, well, that's great, because that means I get them. That means I'm getting repurposed containers, because that's the whole thing. We're trying to reuse old things.
Yeah.
And these guys were building them for fresh and stick them inside a container, so it kind of became pretty quick that who it was going to be. And then we just started going through all the plans, and it's been mental. Like, I've never done anything so complicated in my life. Like, I'm not a structural engineer, and I've got a business partner who's a structural engineer, and I'm the one that's doing all this stuff because he's really busy. But so we'll see if it all works when it gets here.
Right.
To be honest, it might not fit together, because it's just a big mechanical set when it gets here after that.
So, it's coming. It sounded like, I mean, I've seen videos, I've seen pictures, and it looks dead exciting. How does that start? How do you start getting the word out without getting the word out? I mean, that's the one thing. Like, how exactly do it? Because I mean, obviously, when the plans went out, I mean, we've known each other for ages anyway. But when the plans went out, I went, that sounds so fucking cool.
Just to let people know that Billy's actually the one that's going to be doing all the programming for the entertainment. So if you want to do anything on the site, Billy's your man. Hence why I probably wondering why Billy was the one that was just doing this. Because he's a partner in the business with us.
I've also got an ankle bracelet. These guys have got the codes.
He's on speed dial. Doesn't get any more holidays.
But in terms of, but that was it. I saw it and I went, that just looks cool. That looks like a place I would go.
Yeah.
Do you know? Or you would take friends to come to the city. what happens when you're kind of starting to get the plans out there, but you're not getting the plans out there?
Yeah, you're
Like,
trying to drip feed a lot of stuff.
yeah,
I mean, Nathan did a lot of the lead on the marketing of that.
Is there a lot of buzz with that? A lot of buzz with that?
I mean, it's always been my MO with Dario to put some dates and times and timescales on things.
Okay.
Otherwise, nothing would ever happen because we would think about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let's just get this out here. Like, as soon as we got the first 3D renders from Dario's architect through,
Yeah.
I was like, this is a story already. The fact that this has even been thought of as an idea is a story. And the quicker we are the first ones to be out there with it than anyone else that comes after, it's been our idea.
Do you think it's something like Glasgow needed? Because we were having a wee brief chat just beforehand. Obviously, hospitality, the city centre of Glasgow, has taken quite a drubbing, particularly in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's done, and it's a dead duck almost now.
I mean, it goes all the way back to like there was that weird bit after COVID where the city seemed to explode again.
Oh yeah, everyone got out their
Everyone got
houses and
out.
just went crazy. I mean, everybody thought,
And now
this
everyone's
is-
dealing with the debt from that.
yeah, they well overspent. Everyone overspent. The country's overspent. People overspent.
But I mean, from like and again, I know there's a lot more to it. Like there's low admission
Yeah.
zone, but there's lots of other changes. So it's a positive story coming into the city. But
Yeah.
those frustrations are going to be something that's kind of led
Well,
towards this.
we had a meeting with the tourism board, and they were loving the fact that something like this was coming in the city because
Brilliant.
everything's doom and gloom. As you'll know, that we've got another place down the road that we are having to we're having to do a campaign to see if we can save it.
Yeah.
Because that's got nothing to do with the quality of the food or the quality of the restaurant. Everyone loves it. It's just a lot of the decisions that have been made of late, which would be the national insurance rise, the minimum wage at the same time. It's scuppered what we've got left on it. So, and that story is massive all over the town. When we put this out, Nathan's been doing loads of conversations because obviously Nathan runs it now, and he's been doing loads of chats and interviews with radio stations because it's a big topic.
Yeah.
And that's the hospitality chat in the town is all doom and gloom, and this is probably one of the things. We know it's not because it's one of the happier things because the tourism board guys were like, it's great because it's something nice to talk about instead of it being that something's open, something's closing, something's open, it's happening all the time.
Well, I think I saw in the even it might be in the Evening Times article. I'm not sure you were saying it was like a restaurant or a pub closing like one a week.
One a week in
one a
Glasgow
week.
at least. I
That's
mean,
terrifying.
Yeah, I mean there's an association, the NTIA, who are like the Nighttime Industries Association. They're up and down the UK. They do loads of census stuff. They put out facts about what's going on, and at a point there was like 8 a week or something going down over the UK, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So it's a tough industry, and it's not because people are doing rubbish offerings or not trying their hardest. It's because everybody's pratted, everyone's skint, and putting the minimum wage up is great. It puts more money into the people. I get that, but then we need to put our prices up. So it's all relative. It makes no difference.
Yeah.
That's not the answer. And I said this: if it wasn't for the uniqueness of the Clydeside containers pitch and what it is, I wouldn't be opening anything in this city again. I would be looking to get out of it,
Right.
which a lot of folk are doing. The south side is the new West End, really.
That's right.
The East End is like the next up and coming part of it because one, there's no low emission zone. Taxi drivers don't even need to bother updating their car to get into the town. There's a lot of delivery companies have had to update their vans to basically come in to the low emission zone, and that gets relayed onto us. So we're now paying more for the produce on top of the minimum wage rises, and it doesn't work. So these are the problems with what's going on in the city centre, and you'll see it. I mean, retail's been getting its ass kicked out of it for years as well.
Yeah,
with the
yeah, yeah.
internet. So this thing, the one thing that's about this model is that as an independent restaurant or bar owner, you all eyes and everything's on you. So your overheads are all on this. But with this one, there's like 8 of us.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier for things to get paid.
Yeah.
Your gas is your electricity. There's no gas in the site, but gas, water, electricity, all these things, council tax rates and all that stuff is getting split between us all. So it makes it a lot more palatable, which makes us actually a more sustainable style of business.
So it's kind of like a cooperative. kind of thing
in
going-
essence,
going all the
exactly
way
that.
back.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's the beauty of it as well. But it means that these guys that are doing the pop-ups are actually getting almost a city centre restaurant at nowhere near the hassle of opening something like that or the overheads of it. And that's what makes it, once again, a happier story for everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
And you're right. I think Glasgow like really needs that. I mean, without getting too soapboxy and all
Yeah.
that, I think there needs to be like genuine, proper discussion
Yeah.
between councils, government.
Yeah,
There needs to be
definitely.
like genuine, because it does seem like, oh, you can drive a car with only 3 wheels, can you? It's like, well, I guess I could kind
Yeah,
of.
if it's got AdBlue in it, if
Yeah,
it's got AdBlue,
exactly.
you can get in the
I mean,
town.
you can kind of do that, but you know, can you do it?
Yeah.
But like you say, as a positive thing for people coming in, and the buzz has been like, even amongst, you know, people that you guys know, even like, you know, the kind of crossover. There's been so many people going like, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
This looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
In terms of like starting to put the site together in time frames and what have you.
Yeah.
I
That's a
mean,
big
that
question,
has its
isn't it?
own challenges as well,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, like you say, you need to get all this stuff here.
Yeah.
And make a venue, because not only, well, it's a destination. I think I kept saying that initially, or maybe it was yourself, Nathan. It's like a destination.
Yep.
It's a place that people all want to go and
Yeah.
get some food during the day when they're in their office or whatever, or they're out and about in the city,
Yep.
and then go and help and get like a night out as well. Was that always the kind of idea? Because like you say, I think a lot of these food court places, or kind of, you know, container court places, whatever we'll call them, don't think like that. Like they don't think in terms of being a venue. Because of your background, did you think like,
Yeah. Well,
let's make it somewhere where people can have a night out as well?
yeah. I mean, obviously, because we're restricted with the license, which people don't really know what that will be yet. So this will be the first time they're really hearing about the time scales of this. Because we were going to open at 7 o'clock and finish at 10. So closing at 10 o'clock, obviously scuppered us for the full events thing,
Yeah.
you know, because we've got room 2 around the corner. We do bands and stuff like that till 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that kind of, or till 10:30 at least, that gives us, that kind of scuppered it to be like a full events place. Also being outdoors, the council have major reservations about amplified music on open air venues. It's not unheard of. You know, Nathan, we went to the meeting with the licensing lawyer, which who had already done one. I didn't know about it. Nathan knew about it. That they'd done along the kind of Chongate area, which was the exact same license we were looking for, and they got it permanent.
Right.
So it's already been given before, so the board have actually done it. So that's why we weren't concerned about this one. But yeah, the idea was to try and it was that whole. I have this like 3 sevens, like a fruit machine fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got 7 days a week, 7 types of entertainment, 7 different vendors. You know, so it's the jackpot in essence is the way I look at it. But because of Room 2 and because of the Cheetah and stuff and all our history of events stuff, they've been involved with the Riverside as well. It was a must. It had to be on there.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a lot, which we can talk about as well, is all the entertainment, the style entertainment in there. You know, it doesn't have to be amplified music, the comedy, the cabaret stuff that you've got ideas for.
The cabaret stuff. I mean, it's I think we're having to kind of move with the times, give people something that they can't get anywhere else as well. There needs to be a little bit of that. Like I love the idea of it, but there is 1, 2, or nearly 3 full-time comedy clubs in the city. So what's the events we're going to be bringing there, and how they're unique to the Clydeside? Who can we bring in? Cabaret and what have you. Like if you're on a works doing a night out, do they want to hear some guy talking about his balls or his girlfriend leaving him for like, half an hour?
The thing with comedy as well, as you know, when you're doing comedy and you're at a comedy club, and everyone will know this, is that you need to be quiet.
Yeah.
Everyone sits quiet. That's not it's a bad thing to be talking.
Yeah.
That's not going to be possible on this. So whatever kind of comedy we do on the, obviously we're talking about MC Hammersmith and stuff like that. Things like that will work great, because you're wanting the interaction for the crowd.
Yeah.
And you're talking about work days, is that even more so as well.
Yeah.
But you know.
I know, but it's also what we're looking for. Like maybe we were talking about Delph and stuff like that, which is a very unique. But it's a really like. Turns out I already knew the guys from Delph and didn't realise. But even at that, it's like bringing stuff. It's almost like putting stuff where it shouldn't be, but then people kind of rediscovering it and then going like, oh, you got to go down to the Clydeside containers and if there's a quiz or something like that on like a Wednesday night, like. What makes the quiz the most unique quiz in the most unique location?
Yeah.
You bring in the guys that are the best. If you're having live music or if you're just having chill out music, it's a acoustic guy with a guitar. What makes him and this isn't me throwing shade because I went and saw Ghost last night in the city and I thought Ghost were brilliant. They're a Swedish rock operatic band. They're amazing, but it was the difference between seeing pros doing something like proper, like the transitions are like from songs, say change, bang, straight into the next song. There wasn't any fucking basic bitch beige white guys going like having a conversation. You know the way bands have conversations with mics and they've got none to say.
Really understand what they're saying either.
And they've got none to say. It's like fuck up and play a song. I just want I can't remember seeing like the Bare Naked Ladies or something once, and like they were really entertaining, really charismatic.
Good band actually.
Yeah.
Like them.
The bits between the songs become a part of the show. And you want people that are bringing that kind of level of creativity to something like this to go like, oh man, Wednesday nights when it's Davey doing the acoustic stuff, the guy's amazing, and then you go to Pizza Cult, you go to all the other places.
Well, I think that's something that we would want to do, and probably not in this show, but is to sit down and start talking about that, because one of the things that will be good for this, which I know we're going to lead to, because it's almost going to be an advertisement for letting people know what we're looking for, and they can see this video or this podcast, and then start approaching us for it or approaching you for it, because obviously you're going to be dealing with the programming. But it's one of those ones that you probably won't even like. Somebody make contact you and you go, I never even thought of that kind of show.
Completely.
Do you know what I mean? Because we have the standard comedy bands,
yeah,
acoustic stuff or the cabaret things that we know and we've been involved in. But some guys are like, listen, mate, I play a fucking ukulele on a soapbox with my legs behind my left mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be something crazy that.
If it is something that is interesting and fun, then like let's get it on the stage. I mean, you think of like all the cool things I've been through the side, like Club Noir and stuff like that, really quite interesting and unique things. It's
the wrestling thing, mate. I keep pushing you. Ever since we've met each other, I've been on your case about trying to get at least one of those chats, an experience.
I'm pretty confident that'll definitely get in there.
Man, you need to get that in there.
I mean, already just without giving anything away, like people that have been coming through for tours and all that type of thing. It's like, hey, listen, maybe somewhere else to do a tour, maybe somewhere else to do a thing. It's like let's stay in touch.
Yeah. It would be great. I think things like that once again, because what we need to be concerned about, or what we need to be conscious of, should I say, is when we open this place, we're probably going to be for about a year, say a couple of years. I'm not saying that we're not doing live music on this at all, or amplified music, but we're definitely going to need to
kind of kicking the tires.
But the council need to be confident with us that we are not a nuisance.
Yeah,
and we need to be able. I mean, obviously, the sound system that's getting built is getting manufactured by a sound system company. In this country, I'm not going abroad for that one. In this country, and then there's a sound acoustics company that has to be brought in because of the digress and making sure we're not annoying folks. So we have thought about it so that we can do the acoustic stuff, but or live music stuff. But definitely things like that. See, spoken word stuff. That's going to be really easy entertainment for us to put on. It's not going to annoy anyone.
And it could be anything from like live podcasts or what have you. Because obviously the football rise has been huge in the town.
Yeah, but we won't be doing Old Firms, just to let everyone know. We'll do World Championship stuff, but we're not doing Old Firms because
Partick, if you're up for it.
Can't afford to buy more containers when they get done in after an Old Firm. Do you know what I mean?
But even those things like entertainment is like live entertainment, especially, is like changed so much from like I do 2020 to now, and I see the change.
Yeah,
and I see the change. And then there's a little bit of what old is new. Like there's some people that I've never seen. I mean, cabaret, like drag shows and stuff like that. But I've seen them on the TV. It's like, imagine we could bring those as part of your night. So you're having the most delicious food, the most wonderful drinks, and then there's that. You're going to be coming back all the time to see these type of things. So, but away from that, one cool thing we wanted to talk about was the vendors. Or should I say, we're still missing a vendor.
Yes, we are.
So what's happening with this?
Yeah, so this is. I'll let Nathan go for this one because we
didn't
come
know
up
if I was going to get a word in edgeways. So there's 7 vendors. There's space for 7 vendors.
Yes.
And by the time this podcast has gone out, we'll have announced 6.
Yes.
And then everyone will have been waiting for vendor number 7, and we're vendor number 7, although not vendor number 7. Vendor number 7 is going to be our cool container that is changing all the time. So
Organization.
we want vendor number 7 to be anyone that wants to try out ideas, wants to think about, maybe wants to try something that could become one of our permanent vendors in future. Someone that, has done a Loch Lomond market and wants to try and take that next step up.
Right.
Or just someone that wants to get a bit of the pie of what is the best the best eatery in Glasgow.
Yeah.
We're opening applications up to everyone. We've had so many already. We already had such a difficult decision getting the sort of 50 plus vendors down to 7.
Yeah.
That since we started announcing the vendors, we've had hundreds more get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Everyone wanting a slice of what they can feel the excitement of.
Yeah.
So when we made the decision, we thought it was really important to leave something, a space for something that can be different and new every single week that you come to Clydeside Containers.
All right, so that kind of turnaround literally every week.
Maybe every day, Billy.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like literally, we've had people that bake brownies or cookies. Like they could be there on a Monday and by Friday it's a Thai restaurant, and that it's going to be so quick and fast that you'll never know what that container is going to have in it.
I love that. You're also going to have people like going, "Oh, I missed the cookie place on Monday." Well, they're not back until September or something.
Absolutely. There's going to be a full-on calendar just for vendor number 7.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. Especially when you get the taste for something.
Yeah,
you come
I
down.
know.
But then again, there'll be loads of other places to get amazing food. I think that's really exciting because, like you say, there is the unique thing of coming down. Maybe you're heading down to see. I keep feeling like I'm putting over a pizza cult because I've got a crush on Dennis. I think that's but it means there'll be something a wee bit. The experience of coming to the Clydeside is never going to be the same.
No, I mean that's the thing. Like, obviously, you can go down there 7 days back to back and try something different every day. Right. Same with the entertainment. But the good thing about the rotational one, obviously, is that once you've done every single bit of food to that, because we don't plan to keep the. I'm saying this loosely, but we don't plan to keep the vendors in there for the full, like say 5 years. We want to, because there is so many people that have applied. We want to give everybody a shot. So let's just say a year, right?
Yeah.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean that one of the vendors couldn't turn and pivot. They have another concept and they take it on for another year. We're not kicking them out, but we want to make sure that the products,
the options there.
Yeah, the options have to change. It can't stagnate. And if somebody loves it that much and they're down there all the time and they've eaten all the 5 different things that each vendor has, so that's obviously a lot of products in the two. There'll be someone there that will always be changing it. So for the full year of that, you'll always get something different. And I think that just fits perfectly with what we're trying to do down there. The movement and the changing of what it's every day, because otherwise you can get fed up with things.
I get that. In terms of talking about change though, and looking around the calendar and what have you, we got to address an elephant in the sky, if you will, right? Because there was me standing outside the Hydro last night moaning, going like, "Do you know we've not got a stadium with a roof in it? Doesn't make any sense." What have you, right? But you're bringing this to the Clydeside Containers. I mean, obviously Scottish weather and what have you, but people don't need to worry about that when they're coming down.
It's been thought about. I mean, it's been built with Scottish weather in mind. I mean, 90% of the year is shite. So so we'll get obviously with the big retractable roof. The way I mean, people that will watch this have already seen what it is.
Yeah.
So you can see the horseshoe shape of it, we call it, and the whole courtyard area is going to have a big retractable roof over the top. We got the videos from the manufacturer, and I thought it was going to be one of these football stadium things that takes about 8 hours to open, but it's pretty quick. So takes about 5-10 minutes to open or close. That will be over the central courtyard area. The mezzanine areas, as you'll probably see in the renders as well, is that it has permanent roofs on them. But the side winds is the thing that was worrying us the most.
Right.
So we plan to have these kind of transparent PVC roller shutter things to stop the side wind. But we need to watch about how much we close this up, because it starts to become an actual building.
Right.
Because the rules, this is a semi-permanent shutter.
Semi-permanent.
Or was it a removable structure or something?
Removable.
So that's what they put it under. So if we start literally building a building, then becomes a different building, and the
Got you,
rates and
got
all
you,
that
got you,
change,
got
and all
you.
the
Yeah, yeah,
legislation
yeah.
changes. So we need to make sure that it is. I mean, obviously nothing's getting bolted down. So, but the other one of the big things that was light pollution as well, was one of the
Right.
things we had to go through. So they were like, "How are you lighting this up? You know, is this going to be architectural lighting? Fucking literally, blinding planes?" And I was like, "No, it's, obviously we're going to keep it very twinkly." So I think that's going to be the best way, the festoon vibe. But the biggest problem is the heating then,
Right.
because obviously infrared, these red bulbs, man, it'd be like a brothel. Fucking, do you know what I mean? So
Not that any of us would know, of course.
no,
just
just I only seen them from the outside because of the red bulb. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not from the inside.
I get that. No, it's like
But so we're looking at infrared ceramic heating, which doesn't light up, but it emits infrared heating, and you can. And
Right.
it doesn't matter even if there's wind. You're always warm from it. It heats the person more than it heats just the air round about you.
oh
So
right.
I've had to look at that as well. So there's a load of things that have been thought about on how to make this work for Glasgow's weather.
Yeah. It's just not like a summer because the only reason I'm mentioning that is like it's just not a summer thing.
No.
It's just not like
Yeah, it's an all year round thing.
when
for
it's an
definite.
all year round thing.
I mean, let's face it. Like Glasgow days, it could be absolutely fucking sun split in the skies in the morning, and then about 2 hours later it starts raining. So we had to make sure that we had a button to press that literally transformed it into a closed venue. So that's what we've managed to do.
Love it.
Yeah.
In terms of, but there's challenges putting this on the Clydeside. Make that very clear because you are. Having seen the site, like you're not just on the Clyde, you are on the Clydeside. How's that been trying to kind of regenerate that part of the because that's what this is about as well. It's kind of like regenerating Glasgow in that area, which used to be, hugely popular.
Yeah.
What's the challenges about putting it down
Well,
there?
you'll know about that one with the with the Coast Guard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like that's one of the things people keep saying. Why hasn't nobody done this before? And when you think about all of the barriers that are put in place to something like this, now some of them rightful barriers, and that you need to be a reasonable operator to go right. These are things we need to take into account. Now you are literally on the water, and we're serving alcohol. And
It's Glasgow.
Glasgow has a bit of the wrong connection with the Clyde.
Hey, what?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
A wrong connection with alcohol sometimes as well. So yeah, one of the stipulations, obviously, of opening a venue so close to the Clyde is about thinking about water safety. So working with the Coast Guard, the Glasgow Humane Society, who are the volunteer group that patrol the Clyde, literally will help people get out of the Clyde if they've fallen in or jumped in.
Wow.
They're like volunteer lifeguards essentially.
I mean, they're not falling in. Let's face it, they're jumping in. That barrier's pretty high.
It's definitely a high barrier. But I think some people that have been drunk have done something silly.
Yeah.
But I do think that sometimes we don't take our own actions into consideration. Go to London and there's a little chain that
But you're saying that
protects you
the
from the
little ones
Clyde.
that are-
That from
Ankle
the an ankle height chain that protects you from the Thames, and there's hundreds of thousands of people drinking on the Thames.
Yeah.
And we get to Glasgow and there's an 8-foot barrier. And still we have to think about it. But it's right that us as an operator are being responsible. All of our staff will be trained in water responsibility and water safety. There'll be a specific water safety lead in our security team that will be monitoring that sort of Clydeside area. We're not going to use the main Clydeside thoroughfare as the entry and egress point.
Yeah.
There's a sort of civic space on the Brumelaw that's to the side of it.
Yeah.
That'll be the main bit. So that'll also not put hundreds of people onto the Clydeside in a rush. So all of those considerations are things that we need to think about, making sure we've got pull ropes or anything like that if anyone does happen to fall over the 8-foot barrier.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but just making sure that all those considerations are in place, and that shows to the council as well that we can be a responsible operator down there.
that's going to be one of the things that we're going to need to, over that period of us saying, they need to be confident that we are able to maintain everyone's safety as well as the noise and stuff that we're talking about.
Because I guess it's one of the things that comes like hand in hand when you're doing something for the first time, as well. Like there isn't like a checklist of everything you need to do. You kind of need to discover that. Has there been any surprises? Do you think? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's been plenty of surprises, but has there been any ones that have jumped out? You went, oh, didn't even consider that.
I don't think so. I think probably the main one was like the Coast Guard part of it. It was a strange kind of licensing thing for the other side, because obviously the Clydeside containers is only 1/3 of the site. We're opening something else in the other part of it later. But when they went for the plan, when we went for the plan permission, the licensing for that, they didn't want people entering. They want people entering from the Clydeside walkway and leaving by a gate that takes you onto the Brimelot, because they think that if someone was allowed to leave via the Clydeside, they would be drunk and fall into the water, right? So they want you now walking out onto a main road. I would probably say that I'd have a better chance of saving somebody from falling in the water than getting hit by a car. So,
yeah.
So that was a bit of a strange thing, but obviously they don't know, and I'm not down in the council for it, because they don't know. It's not been done for a long time. Like, as it says, Panama Jacks or Circle, the ones that were back then. That was the last one. That was 35, nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, in fact, it was there longer than me, but I remember it 35 years ago. And so they're really kind of, right, okay, we're cool with it, but let's put this in place. Yeah. And then further down the line, we can revisit it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing crazy, that apart from, as I say, that walkway thing, but nothing. It's been pretty straightforward so far. Touch something wood. The legs are.
What's the thing you are both most looking forward to about it?
The party.
The party.
The party. We do a good party, don't we?
We throw a good party, and I can't wait until we're very close to being able to pick a date for the opening party.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to organise it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do love organising a party.
Yeah, and he does a good party. He does. I mean, all the ones we did in Makaka have been huge successes all the time. I'm looking forward to the podcast studio, which nobody knows about. I suppose this is about the first time.
Well, we haven't really talked about it. It'd be a good way, I guess, to kind of finish. So you were you showed me a little view of the container.
Yeah.
Because I kept trying to figure out how the bloody hell it was going to be open the whole way around, because I don't want to be the guy that goes like, we need walls. Still need walls. I'm not convinced how this is like a Kinder egg you're going to put it together. It looks so cool, and it's we were chatting about this, but obviously in kind of early stages and what have you. But it was also making it like I use the phrase destination again. It's like not only can people come down here and record podcasts and fantastic state-of-the-art studio with the most unique kind of backdrop you're going to get anywhere. It's going to be like the one they green screen onto the news now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know what I mean? You'll actually have the real view behind you.
Yeah.
Everyone's all you're going to see is comments, green screen bullshit.
Yeah,
it's going to be like. Do you remember this morning when it was down at the Albert Docks?
I do.
And then Alison Hammond was jumping around.
She pushed the fella.
She pushed the fella from Northern Ireland into the water when she was trying to jump from Britain to Northern Ireland on the weather map.
Everyone used to tune in when it was the other weather guy, but we won't talk about him.
Yeah.
Although I've got a great story I'll tell you about when we go off air, but don't go googling that. But so obviously, as well as hopefully we're going to get people down there to record their podcasts, and that could be open to anything from football, comedy, live streaming some stuff as well. It's all kind of its own broadcasting system.
And the benefit as well is not just people come. Obviously, we want people coming down and recording their podcast.
Yeah.
But we also want to give people the insight into the venue, the vendors, and the entertainment. Way more than you get at any other venue.
Yeah.
So just because Dave comes and plays acoustic guitar every Wednesday, we want you to get to know Dave.
I love the idea of that. Like even events and what have you. Like that was always a big thing. Like when you would tune in Tea in the Park. And then there'd be the guy.
Would be there.
It's always Edith Bowman, wasn't it? It's always Edith. I don't think she's ever left. I don't think anybody's telling her Tea in the Park's not happening anywhere. But you'd see the guys up in the crow's nest or what have you going, oh, such and such is on just now. I'm here with blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Even though it would only be like an hour-long show, if you couldn't make it, you go, I'm going to go to Tea in the Park. I'm going to seek out this music. And even the idea of like having like, presenters or people doing their podcast from loads of different places. Like, I don't know, a hee-haw about grime. But the idea about somebody on there doing like a grime show and what have you, how cool would that be? Or if you did like I'd said like a battle of the bands, how cool would it be? Like you're able to tune in live on Facebook or live on wherever it is. We're here in between the bands chatting to the guys as they're getting set up and what have you. People are having drinks and booze and like just like that's like a TV show. I love that kind of stuff growing up. and it's going to help make it a destination place, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole idea of it. Was like we were talking about obviously earlier on about the kind of that bit of hospitality at the moment, and one of the things I think it makes, which people don't realise, customers don't realise, is they just see it as a faceless business.
Yeah.
And they see people in it and they think it's busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they don't have a clue about what's going on behind the scenes.
That's a big thing.
It's a massive thing, and that's why with this podcast studio, getting the like every week having the pizza cult guy show, do you know what I mean, and getting to know the person and the effort they're putting in to give this offering. And that's why this as well was the same thing. It's to understand that this isn't just a faceless conglomerate of people that have got hundreds of dough and they're just making this thing up and just raping money out of folk. It's not about that at all. And I think that's missing in a lot. I think that's what's missing in the hospitality sector.
I think we've seen missteps like that before in the city, and I'm not naming names or anything, but we've seen places like pop up, and they've clearly spent a lot of money on them. We won't go into it.
Yeah,
you see it pop up, but there is no further engagement. It's like, well, we're here. You should be coming anyway.
Yeah,
I think it's like you guys said, it's a big thing. Like, these are all human individuals with stories and trying to do something different. So it's like a real positive story in a city that has been like royally buggered over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
even losing the iconic places like. So again, I feel like I'm bringing up Ghost again. Last night they mentioned that when they first played here, it was the O2 Academy. It's like gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's
exactly.
beg your pardon, the O2 ABC. It's gone. Like we're losing places and they're not getting replaced. They're not having, because people don't want to do that. And with the Clydeside containers, not only is it unique, and it's going to be somewhere that people go to all the time. Like, there's going to be people in the offices. There's going to be people in the city centre go like, I don't know, I'm going down there, or I'm getting my pizza for my my walk home or what have you. I'm going down there and
other
getting
food
lunch.
is available.
Other food is available.
Which is probably know by now anyway. So.
But I love the idea. He's giving me shares. But I love the idea about someone like and because all the food experiences, and I wanted to chat with you just quickly about this, because all the food experiences are so different.
Yep.
Like somebody like gyros, for example, you can grab that and go. Quite healthy, quite clean. You just get through it. Was that really important that you wanted to like as far across the spectrum in terms of what you were getting folk to give? So, but it's something that everyone would like.
Yeah, the decision. Obviously, the decisions were hard, and there was probably quite a few sleepless nights.
Yeah,
because we started to realise that maybe the site should have been 3 times the size.
Right.
But we had 6 to choose from, and we wanted to consider what Yes, if someone was there, they could have a 3-course meal if they wanted, but also they could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, at different points of the day, and that then it touched on everyone. We've got a vegan food vendor there. We've got gluten-free desserts. We've got there's stuff for literally everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make it so special.
And everyone's got like, I thought the cool thing as well is like talking to everyone. Everyone's kind of got like people's pockets in mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you were talking about London, for example.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of the expense of doing the business side of things, but also passing that on to the customer. I mean, I don't know if that's going to play in Glasgow in 2025. No, so you wanted it to be something that the people doing it can operate it and make a living at and keep passionate about it. Was that important as well?
100%. I mean, one of the first things that people said on social media when we announced this was, "Oh, great. Another venue where we can get £25 burgers and £7 pints."
Yeah,
and that's just going
to
be.
That was good to hear. That
it was great to hear that because we knew already that wasn't going to be the kind of venue.
Yeah.
That's the expectation of it, and we actively made sure that it wasn't that. When we were picking the vendors as well, I mean, the process of picking the vendors was tough because you were looking at what they were charging. As well, because it wasn't just that we liked their product. And it was about how much money they were requiring.
Aye.
Because that reflected on the price of the people coming to it. That was one of the major factors of it. So it's going to be, I mean, this is one of the reasons why the hospitality industry is a bit buggered, is because people can't afford it. So you have to be able to offer quite a lot of stuff for a small amount of money. That's the way it is. People are like, I've got a £5. So if I'm for this £5, I want entertained and I want food for it. Do you know what I mean? I want all of this stuff.
I want something to eat. I want to have a good time.
Which is what this, and because, like going back to what I said earlier on as well, was the fact that it's spread between so many folk, that the overheads are spread, that allows the margins for them to be higher.
Yeah.
Means that they don't need to charge as much money. So it all works as a big harmonious a space, the products, the food offerings will be a great price, and the drinks will be a great price, and the entertainment will be in essence free because you'll be walking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you know what I mean? So,
and even if there's like events on that maybe it's ticketed or something like that, everything's still within that affordable range, and it's going to be what a night out you're going to have. Well.
There definitely will be ticketed events on there. I mean, there'll be bands that we'll be bringing in, or because we work with DF concerts and DCL and 432 and all that, all the bigger players in Glasgow.
Oh, they're all aware.
They're all there, aye, and they're all dying to get in.
Triple G Music was another one.
That's right.
They all know.
So they're all into it, and but obviously it needs to be financially viable for these guys. We're going to be taking on the entertainment costs from our side, to obviously at the beginning of it, but there'll be events where people will come in and we'll have to charge money for it, but it'll be something worth going to.
Exactly.
Not saying that all the stuff we're going to put on is not worth going to. That it's going to be free.
But I know what you mean.
But do you understand? It'll be a big name band, or it could be a big comedian or something.
But it also creates that buzz of, oh my god, I get to see that person at the Clydeside Containers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be like, because the numbers are only going to be what they can be on the night, which I think it was like. Talk about it. I think it was like 250 seating or something like that.
So the actual physical seating is 207, but we can. The
standing was.
We can take the tables and chairs and we can get up to about 500 folk on it. But at the beginning of it, the council probably won't allow us to.
It's going to take a little while. It's going to take a good
That'll be another thing we need to build the confidence in.
Oh no! It's all about that. It's something totally new to the city.
Yeah, especially they're concerned enough about having people just having a kind of drinking some food at the side of the water, never mind having 500 people going to a band gig at the side of the Clyde. So that bit will be a lot further down the line. I think any events that we'll be doing going forward will all be seated.
Yeah.
I don't even think they'll allow us to have people standing at the moment. It might be just a case of that everyone has to be seated.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that will be part of the licensing regulation at the beginning. But like I said, over the course of the
everyone
time,
will figure it out.
Yeah.
Everyone will figure it out. It'll become a stop. Like, I'm thinking, just literally, I was sitting here thinking, like, oh, you're on your way to the conventions at the SECC as well. That's going to be an interesting Saturday, that is. Cosplaying, having a court full of Doctor Who's and what have you. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Well, look, we can't wait. We can't wait. We're close to getting the opening party date, which I think everyone is excited about.
Yeah.
Vendors do get in touch for the kind of interim roving vendor. We'll think of a better name for that.
The rotationals.
Yeah. And then, of course, open in terms of bringing some exciting entertainment and what have you.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's going to be great.
Lovely, looking forward to it.
He's got any final words, gentlemen?
Get on down.
Get on down. Contain yourself.
There it is! Get on a t-shirt. Get it on a t-shirt. Contain yourself. If we don't have a game show called Contain Yourself, then I don't even know where we're not.
I've actually got something with that coming, so it was pre-thought.
Been sitting on it. Right, we'll see you next time on the Clydeside Containers podcast, wherever we may be. See you later.